Hello, everyone. Today is a lovely, lovely day because one of my first few students from Vedantu, when I'd come there, is today with me. One of my favorite students because he is somebody who's made me immensely proud. I'm in touch with him all the time, like a stalker, looking at all of his Facebook, Instagram photos, and being so proud of whatever he's achieving. Today we have with us Senin Ahammed. I remember the first time that we met, Senin had just cleared his KVPY. He's a KVPY scholar. Post that, he not only cracked the NEET exam, but also cracked the IISC Bangalore, which is the Indian University of Science, Bangalore, one of the most respected institutes, not only in India, but in South Asia or Asia for that matter, for the studies of science. I look at Senin, I look at him going to Australia, top universities there, doing some cool stuff. I look at him go to Europe, stay in Germany, study with some of the most amazing professors, meet some of the most hardworking students. And I thought, ये रिसर्च के बारे में इंडिया में बहुत कम लोगों को पता है क्या क्या करते हैं होता क्या है ऐसे टॉप इंडियन साइंस वाले कॉलेजेस में BS MS साइंस एग्जैक्टली व्हाट इज इट what kind of research happens, what kind of academics happen जब ऐसे बच्चे इंडिया को रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं टॉप फॉरेन यूनिवर्सिटीज में. Will your salary also be equal to your potential? All these questions and more. And today we have our very own Sennin trying to, answer all these super amazing questions. So welcome, Sennin. Welcome to, my podcast here. And we are so happy and grateful that you're here with us.
Thanks a lot for inviting me to this podcast and happy to see you again.
Yes, happy to see you again. I know the very first podcast around 4 years back we did. Then we'll start from maybe the present uh, right now. A couple of days back, I saw your photographs in you going across the entire Europe. And now I realize that you are very much a student of IISC Bangalore. And before that, I saw you for 2, 3 months in Australia. Then you were in Germany, exchange programs, science universities there. So, how did you land up there? Is that very common for IISc students, or did you crack some examination? And what was your experience as an Indian graduate student in these foreign universities?
Yeah, I'll start with the Australian experience. I got selected to Australia through a program called Australian National University Future Research Talent Award. That is an award for students from the Southeast Asia, India, Indonesia, Sri Lanka. So they select around 100 students from these countries to spend a 3 months research program in Australia. And they have a particular kind of selection. But if you are an IISc student and if you already have a good research profile, it's much easier to get into. So
Oh,
technically, if you are in one of the top institutions in India, you can get opportunities like that program. Not only NEOFRT, the program that I went to Australia, there are a lot of other programs that you can go to Germany or Canada or any other good countries that you want to do a research project. I selected to this program by the end of my third year, where I went to Australian National University with a fellowship from that university and joined one of the research group there. And I worked with Australian National Fabrication Facility that called NFF, which is a nanofabrication facility in Australia.
nanofabrication.
So my current most of the research are somehow associated with the quantum technologies and
Oh, wow.
nanofabrication. So my first nanofabrication experience was indeed in Australia. Then I moved to Germany, which was part of a program called International Student Fellowship Program by University of Würzburg, where I worked with Professor Mullingham, who was a pioneering scientist in this field who discovered what we call a spin quantum Hall effect for the first time. So it was a great opportunity because they all have all the facilities that is currently available in the world for doing research in this area, where I spent almost 7 months finishing my bachelor's thesis and came back to India again after 1 year.
Lovely. So my
Oh, I
second
think you asked
question,
something else more. I forgot. Can you please ask
yeah,
again?
I'll
Yeah.
pick up from there. Don't worry,
Yeah.
Senan. And if you remember that, please pitch in whenever you want to. So these 10, 11 months that you spent abroad, 11, 12 months to be specific, इसने आपको did it not in any way affect your ongoing studies here, or is it in IISc very dynamic? यार सेकंड ईयर में भी कोई 1 साल के लिए बाहर चला जाता है, थर्ड ईयर में भी चला जाता है, and meanwhile you also tell us about the professors here, the facilities here. Did your academics in IISc make you feel at par with those international universities and you were like, I know it all? Or did you feel, okay, I need to up my game, bahar jaakar, I need to become better? How was that, Sen?
Sorry, I mean, there are too many questions. Can you ask the
I'll
first
repeat my two,
question
three questions. See,
specifically?
my
Yeah,
question number one is
yeah.
that you were not here for
Yeah, so
11 months.
I'll start thinking about it. Starting,
Yeah,
you are asking whether it will affect the academics in IISc.
yeah, yes.
So IISc is a peculiar institution in that way because it offers a lot of flexibility and freedom in the choosing the curriculum. I
Oh,
spent so it's structured in such a way that you can spend full 1 year outside without disturbing your studies. That
wow.
means you can
I
take
wanted to
the
go deep on this, Senin. Explain this to me because ऐसा मुझे लगता है बहुत कम Indian universities में है what you're going to explain. So maybe then it will help people कि होता क्या.
the program that I'm doing in IISc is called the Bachelor of Science Research Program plus Master of Science Research. That is optional. That means 4 year Bachelor of Science Research Program. And if you want
That's
to
a
continue,
BS.
you can continue for 1 year. That is the Master of Research. So it's designed in such a way that you can take the advanced courses in the first few years itself so that you don't have to take any coursework in your final year so that you can effectively spend your final year doing just research. You can
Wow.
do in IISc or you can do anywhere in India or anywhere in the world itself. And they will grade for that. So effectively, it's a part of my studies that I'm doing the research abroad and I will be getting marks back in IISc. So that kind of
Oh,
flexibility that is very peculiar and they encourage it rather than like they won't stress you to like stay back in India for full 4 years. You can go anywhere, you can explore whatever you want, as long as it is a part of the topic that you're
it's
pursuing.
related to what you're doing. Like you said,
Yeah.
you're doing nanotechnology. So in a way, it should be related to maybe your core research subject, but it could be done anywhere in the world.
Maybe that's not a correct sentence because even you can pursue interdisciplinary field. Something like
Ah,
sometimes you're
I get
feeling like you want to work in the intersection of, let's say, nanotechnology and biology. Then that is perfectly allowed as long as there is a professor agreeing to guide you from IISc. So there is
समझ
no
गई.
such restriction that it should be in physics, but it should be some sort of new research that you're doing at the end of the day.
Amazing, amazing. Second, doing that right now. You've been to two universities just maybe a few days or a month back. What is your thought? Have things changed? Have their perception about us also changed? So अगर कोई बच्चा अब बाहर जाना चाहता है, when you went abroad, and what is their perception? Are they also like Indian students are smart and their universities are good? And what was your perception of them? So tell me both the sides of the story if you can, Senin.
Yeah. So there's always that perception that Indian students are hardworking and smart that even I faced when I was going to Australia or even in Germany. They always value Indian students because we are one of the best students in India. And but I won't fully agree with the statement that India are lacking technologies. India is growing obviously, but some technologies still we need to improve further and match up with the developed countries. But India is growing very fastly, and Indian governments are implementing a lot of programs. At least in my field, I can point out the semiconductor mission or national
Wow.
quantum mission that they are offering a lot of budget and promoting a lot of research atmosphere or research projects. So India is
Lovely.
growing, but we need to go a lot more to achieve to the level that the other countries are offering because they have much more budget and they have much more focus and also the mindset of Indian society. Still, many people are not ready to pursue a career in research rather than they are just still choosing the conventional field, like maybe an engineering or a doctor. I'm not saying that we should not do that, but at least we should do a lot of programs in the grassroots level so that we can attract
Amazing.
more students into the research so that we can build a good research atmosphere in India. And many people are pursuing that so that at least the research, I'm not a senior researcher obviously, but at least the young researchers in my age, we should have a feeling that we want to come back to India, but we don't have enough budget or encouragement at this stage. That feeling should change, and I would say
I get you.
India should open up for
I
more
get you. Oh,
research
this is a
collaboration with the
very, very
international
valid point.
facility.
And especially the first point that you made, Senan, I loved it when you said that that mindset that don't go after only the set fields, let's say in engineering or BSc, normal plain simple BSc or a medical or get into the research side of it also. and how, as a young researcher, you feel that you also maybe need more peer. So when it comes to that peer group, Senin, how is that in your college? Are you only padhaku people who only talk padhai, this, that, or is it like a fun? How are the professors? How's that vibe? Are they also really like the serious, sincere ones, or is there another side to it that common public doesn't know of?
At least the IISc, it's a premier institute, so only top students are supposed to come here and study. And that's kind part of true. Like there are kind of a lot of students who are solely focused on academics and they do really well. But that's not the full story because we also have a vibrant college culture here. We also have the cultural programs or sports
Right,
programs. So it is
right,
not like we are always interested in academics and just discussing the academic matters. But talking about the academic, IISc has this very interesting atmosphere where they never make you feel comfortable here. They always push you hard,
oh,
like seeing your peers are working like that and they are going to some programs and you also feel like you should also work hard and do something like that. Or talking about the seniors, like they are really helpful and they will guide you what should be you doing in your first year, second year, so that you can end up in a good universities like maybe Harvard or MIT after doing your like program in IISc. In that sense, the peer group is really helpful, but at the same time, it makes you feel really uncomfortable sometimes, so that you really need to come out of your safe zone to perform harder,
wow.
so that at the end of your IISc life, you will be a better yourself, not only academically but in all sort of other skills like communication or maybe collaborating with someone else and presenting your work with a public, so in all aspect, you'll be a better person if you are striving in IISc atmosphere. And
How
regarding the
nice.
faculties, I will briefly mention about them also. They are great because
Yes.
they have a lot of experience and they are great scientists, including the at least in IISc previously there was CB Ram, like Professor CB Raman, and nowadays also there are a lot of scientists who got really prestigious award internationally or nationally, and they have a lot of international collaborations and a lot of experience. So by seeing them and working with them, you are equipped to work with an international community. Like when you go for research in outside country, in my case, I went to Europe or Australia. I don't feel a lot of difference because I train to be in such a way that I can
Super
cope
awesome.
up with them and my knowledge is not lacking a lot if I want to integrate into a foreign team. I'm thankfully to IISc atmosphere and the facilities that IISc is providing.
Oh, I loved your answer, Senin. And I'd like to repeat and pick up one point again, especially when you said that, you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So that means that scope for growth is there. You're never, like I personally always feel, Senin, that I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. There should always be that scope for growth. I say, God, humble me. Put me in a room where I don't know a thing, where everybody else knows more than me. So that there is always that thing, that eagerness to learn and that aptitude that I want to improve, and that little insecurity also for growth. That he knows better than me, she knows better than me, and then they're all little better than me for me to be able to grow. Wow, this looks like
I want to point out that it's not a
yes,
toxic culture like, okay,
I
they
get
are
you.
better than me.
Yes,
And it's kind
yes,
of a supportive system or like so that everyone support each other,
yes.
but everyone compete each other so that at the end of the day, everyone become a better themselves.
Correct. And in this age, Seren, you must be 22, maybe 23, 21. At this age, you have to maybe hustle a little, and not in a toxic way, but in that way that you want to achieve something. Like you said, you want to go to a Massachusetts for that matter, or go to an Harvard, or go to the top research thing. So you've got to be at the top of your game. And like you said, your professors are so good that even when you went to these foreign universities, you never felt, yeah, where am I? Suddenly, it was a similar kind of atmosphere. Sirin, I have a very nice memory. I've seen your parents, and I know for sure I've interacted with them once or twice, maybe three times, and I know for sure, especially your mother, how important of a role she played in your life, and what kind of a conducive atmosphere it was for you, because I remember the last podcast I've interacted with your parents as well. So imagine there was somebody who's the younger Sennin. Let's take out 4 years from your life now, and somebody who's 16, 17, and they are inspired by this podcast. So I want you to answer two questions now again, in whatever way. Number one, uh, paint this life for me, right from college to maybe 10 years hence also. When Senin is 33, what is it? 2 साल और research करोगे, then what kind of a job do you get? So paint those next 10 years, like let's say 10 years in the life of an IISc graduate. हो सकता है 5 साल 4 साल बाद वो बाहर भी चला जाए. Also to get here. So I want you to start from 16 when somebody is looking at your podcast and thinking यार मुझे सेलिन भैया जैसा बनना है, मुझे कुछ ऑफ बीट करना है. I really like look at, and I can vouch for it. Students, his confidence has increased 100x, and may God really bless him, and his confidence should become like 1000x the last time I met him and today. So from 16, what can somebody do? What kind of books should they read? What exams should they give? What what kind of preparation should they do? And once they get into the college, अगले 10 साल कैसे होते हैं? You look at your seniors, what are you thinking? So from 16 to 33, I want to know the life of a researcher.
First of all, I'm thankful to my parents for making an atmosphere in my home so that I can pursue whatever I want. As you pointed out, at that time, I was confused because the research that public knows is all from the newspapers or
Correct.
the TV news that they are seeing from their regular life. But if you want to become a researcher by yourself, that is completely different. So, for a high school student or if you are 16 years old, you don't know if you are suitable for research or not because,
Well
first of all,
said.
this is really competitive field and this is a less pursued field that you are not seeing a lot of scientists around you to see how their life is, like a doctor to or engineer. So, the first difficult part is that do you want to do a research or how do you know you want to do a research by that age? So my suggestion is pursue the normal thing that everyone pursue, prepare for NEET or JE. But if you feel like by the end of your class, standard 12, maybe even standard 11, that you are feeling like you have a deep passion for a particular subject and you want to become a doctor or you want to become an engineer or
Very
work
well
as an
said.
engineer, at that point, at least if I look back to my life, like I qualified NEET or even I qualified KBPY, but I'm sure that I don't want to become a doctor. It is not because doctor's job is bad or not. They are doing great. Even my brothers is studying in a BBS, but I feel like okay, I want to learn physics. I mean, I wasn't sure if I want to become a researcher in physics, but I was sure that I need to learn this subject more and that I won't be happier if I pursue anything other than physics at that time. So I talked to my parents. Initially, like just like any Indian parents, they were concerned about the future, like what you're going to do if you just like pursue physics in this way than going for an MBBS program. But I was sure that no matter what, I want to do physics, and IISc is the best place for that. So I joined IISc. They supported me after that. And throughout my IISc life, it was difficult because I was coming from a normal school that I didn't do a established coaching that many people do. Like I didn't go to a place that offers the best coaching and do. Mostly I was done my coaching in my home. So that I would say there was a little with the students who wrote Olympiad or maybe the single digit rankers of JE. When I come to IISc, it was very difficult for me initially that
The
I
pressure was
wanted to
there,
put a lot
Sennin.
of hard work.
When
But
you look at
parents
them, that pressure was there for you when you looked at them that okay, matlab, did you see a did you feel everybody is equal when you entered, or did you feel oh single rank Olympiad, gold medal or silver medal?
they have an advantage because they're starting their preparation from their very early age that they know a lot while I started my preparation just 2 years back. The
Lovely.
only equal thing that everyone has the passion to pursue their subject. Apart from that,
Oh,
the knowledge was
beautiful.
completely different. Everyone was passionate, but some people know a lot of things already and they were too good at something than me, so that I felt really, really uncomfortable. But I made a lot of friends that they helped me, like how should I be approaching these challenges, etc. And also
How
seniors helped
nice.
me a lot, and parents supported a lot. Like I saw some students who are dropping out of IIC in the initial few months, saying this is too difficult. I can't handle this anymore because there are two good students again. I can't strive here. But parents ask me to stay and calm and pursue, like because you have a passion. That's all what it matters in the long run. So I'm thankful to them.
Persevere in the long run, that matters. Well said. Very well said. Very well said.
Now regarding what after I see the typical, like if you want to become a researcher, the most typical way that to become an academician, to become a professor, can say an IIT professor in India or IISc professor. They are doing research, they are also teaching, or maybe any research institution in India. Maybe in Bangalore itself, there are Indian Institute of Astrophysics, or maybe International Center for Theoretical Science. If you go abroad, any good universities have a lot of bunch of researchers who are also the professors of the universities. That is the most ideal path that
Got
anyone
it.
want to pursue if you want to become a
Got
researcher in academia. So you want to do a PhD in a good universities. Maybe some most of the like people from IISc prefer to go for a foreign PhD. I mean, I want to point out that it is not because IISc is bad, but it's because we want to acquire some international exposure
that
to.
exposure. Yes.
So you want to do a PhD from there so that you will get trained to do or to become a researcher. And after that, you can get an initial job. The first job is a postdoctoral researcher or your PhD. That you can work in different universities. And after the next job is you can become an assistant professor. Either you can
I
come
get.
back to India to an IIT or an IT or IISc or any other research institution or foreign research institution, and you can grow from there to become a full-fledged professional researcher. But another part is like it is not necessary to stay in academia to become a researcher because nowadays there are a lot of companies, technological companies, semiconductor manufacturing, and they all need researchers and they
Oh,
have this
lovely.
R&D team in their
So the
company.
main, you could say tech companies or, research-based companies, their R&Ds, like you said, yes, yes.
So you can pursue that field depending on your field. Like let's say you are working on some general relativity, there may not be an immediate technological application for that. In that sense, you may find it difficult to find a technological company. But in my field, at least if it is nanotechnology or quantum technology, it's much easier for me to find a company to work in this particular field and use my expertise. So it is not like it is very uncertain field. Like either you can find a position in industry, or at the end of the day, you can even become a teacher. Teacher in the sense you can become a teaching professor rather than a researcher. That option is also there. So it is not like you will be become jobless if you are pursuing this field. But I would like to point out that this is really competitive and you need to be patient and you won't get a very attractive salaries sometimes that engineers get like 1 crore 2 crore packages. That's true, but most of the people that continue in this field is mainly because of their passion and the feeling that you're contributing to the human knowledge. At the end of the day, it's like you're
Wow,
pushing your
wow.
boundaries, you're creating new technologies. That don't what it matters, and it's not just about money, it's for everyone.
How well said. How well said. How well said. Beautiful. Saying that reminds me of something. Suddenly, this is not. I'm like I never thought about it about asking you, but I think I should. Like how engineers are, and this is something which like I personally don't really appreciate, but anyways, that's how some things are that package is like the big thing. That, oh my god, okay, itna package. So in your hallways and all, do you guys discuss like Nobel prizes? Or this is I want to win a Nobel prize someday, or are there other prizes that you discuss, some physics prize or something like that? Is there so does that ever strike you? I want to do this and win a Nobel, or your seniors or juniors or amongst yourselves, does that like is that a thing to talk to happen?
We jokingly say like sometimes you may be winning Nobel Prize, something like that. But on a serious note, we at least the senior researchers that I encountered in my journey, they never care about the prizes, but they care about the accuracy and their contribution to the scientific world.
Wow.
So when they are doing something, they won't say, okay, I'm doing this for a Nobel Prize, or I may be winning Nobel Prize, because most of the time that is not in your hand, like what prizes you are getting at the end of the day. But one thing that I noticed is like they are very careful about their contribution, like because there is some sort of ethics also in this field. Like you need to be truthful to yourself and you should not manipulate, because at the end of the day, it's easy to do such things, but
And
in a
it affects
long run, people
mankind.
will reject your ideas, and like the only the correct one will sustain. So people are really careful about contributing truthfully to the scientific world than winning prizes from their contribution. But I would like to point out that indeed there are some scientists who want to win prizes and they are not really focused on the
Oh,
contribution itself,
oh,
which
oh.
is not a good thing to do. I mean, in any field, there are some kind of people like that. So, but
Yeah.
most of the people are not worried about the prices anymore, at least in my limited experience.
For me, this has been a big revelation, this particular interview. If there's one thing that's going to be my take home message, and that's huge, my respect for researchers has always been high, but now it's like really sky high. And I'll tell you why. And that's come through your inputs or hearing you. Is I think the singular most important quality that anybody needs in this career of research is passion and perseverance. And both of these are super difficult to first, inculcate, have them, and to have them for years at an end in today's generation. Like you said so rightly, that doing the right thing matters a lot. Then you said something that, even if somebody was an Olympiad medal holder or somebody was a topper, but one thing which kept us all on the same pedestal was our passion for it. And I know for sure, I know people who are working on semiconductor research and they've been at it for 10, 11 years without, let's say, a headway or a breakthrough. तो 10 साल एक काम करना, every single day showing up when that result is still not in the near future या हुआ नहीं, or you don't even know whether होगा भी या नहीं. That patience is such a virtue. So, Senin, did you have these qualities while growing up also, or did you kind of mature and imbibe them while you were here?
As I
And
said, I mean, I was not sure about how a researcher's life looks like till I entered IISc. As I was just passionate about physics, nothing else. So by that time, when you are in IISc always promote to be in research from your first year itself. So I remember in my first year, one of the great scientists was very kind to take me into his research lab and allow me to work for 2 to 3 months so that I can learn how the research works and what they are even doing. So most of these qualities that I'm observing them, and some of them are working on a problem that no one worked before for many years, and realizing that doesn't make any sense, and their efforts are like being, I would say, worthless. But they learned a lot of through that process. So research, there is an always an uncertainty that you're trying something new. It may work out, it may didn't work out, but they still pursue the research. So most of the qualities that I picked from the young researchers or senior researchers that I interacted in IISc, because IISc is at the end of the day is dominated by the research students. Only 20, maybe 20 to 30 percentage is the undergraduate student. Everyone is doing research. So you are interacting with them in a daily life, daily basis. Maybe you are in a canteen or you are playing football, but still you have this interaction and they are describing their life. So you will learn that how the researchers' life and what are their qualities and how they are working on a daily life basis. So I see in that sense provide the perfect atmosphere to become a scientist in the future. That it
wow,
will like shape
it will
you.
about life and about things and to give it all away. Like आप 2 बार ट्राई किया, 3 बार किया, 4 बार किया, 5 बार किया, 6-7 साल लगा दिए. And in today's world of social media, when you see your contemporaries doing well, the entire world celebrating doing well, and आप उसी lab में हो या उस जगह पर हो, आप लगे हुए हो, and it's not glamorous till the time you don't make it big, because it's hard work and it's may or may not be glamorous. The world may or may not understand it. People will not understand it, and it may not even be glamorous money wise.
Yeah.
So, have you seen people become negative or bitter, or I don't know? Is that something people have to researchers should guard against? Yeah, ऐसा
Fortunately, that happens many times. That, as I said, I'm seeing many lives in IIC, and sometimes it can get very hard. Like they are not getting any result even after many years, and they are getting pressure from their guide or maybe the funding agency that your project is not proceeding at all, and you are not getting any new result. And sometimes, in very rare cases, I see suicide in IIC. That is common even in any higher institutions because of the high pressure or high demand that the atmosphere put on you. So this happens, and that is very sad. And sometimes it's not in your hand. It depends on your luck or maybe some like how your guide is guiding you. This
correct.
happens, and
It's
in
part
my
of
I'm
the
not an
game.
experienced researcher to comment about that because I never faced. any
Correct.
such situation till now, but you have a lot of other ways. You can like if you're feeling like okay, you don't want to continue in research anymore, you can always divert and join a company or maybe do some other work, or you can do
Correct.
a startup with your expertise. At the end of the day, research is not all about the result. That
It's
is
a
also
mindset.
about the skills
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you are acquired through the process, that critical thinking, or maybe the patience or the perseverance. So using that skill, you can always be successful in some other parts of your life. It's not like you're a useless fellow if you are not getting any good result in a
Yeah.
research.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's
No.
just a learning process.
Correct. So, Senin, in case a student is watching you and they are absolutely convinced that, research is a place for me, but unfortunately they're not able to make it to IISc. Are you aware of some other colleges in India may not be at par with the IISc, but they are not bad, so that, for their masters or for something else they can try for IISc, but at least for their graduation, they can look around for these other colleges. You're aware, somebody you know studies there. What are these other colleges, if you could tell us about them?
There are many other Tier 1 colleges. IISc is not the only premier research institution in India. Any IITs, their professors is also doing a lot of research. Sometimes may not be in the fields that IISc offer, but still in the basic science, physics, chemistry, biology, or in the engineering field, mechanical, civil, or computer science, or whatever the interdisciplinary field, they are also doing a lot of research. And if you look at the research output, there is not a lot of difference that you can see. It's like many of the top IITs are also performing well with the IISc. So joining an IIT won't ruin your chances to become a researcher, but the only difference in those IITs is like the atmosphere is different. People will be mainly focused on the placement rather than become a good researcher. So you won't get the same atmosphere that IISc offers in those IITs, but you have a full option to become a researcher from those institutions. Apart from that, there are ICERs, obviously, and NICER. ICER is also doing a great job, but the only difference is that they have limited number of people and the department comparing to top IITs or IISc. Like maybe they have 5 to 6 departments while IISc have 50. But still, they are doing a lot of great job, and Indian government is also providing a lot of funding so that they are setting up a lot of good research facilities. So ICERS is not a bad choice. That's what I'm trying to say. But if you're in a local college, let's say, and not a well decorated college, still you have an option that once you finish your degree or maybe even PhD, you can write exams like CSER NET or JAM or JUST or GATE to get into top IITs or IISc so that you then from that you can catch up and become a good
Correct.
researcher. It's not like if you didn't get IISc at the first place after your standard 12, you are done and you can't never become a good researcher. That is not the case at all. So you have a lot of options. And obviously, IISc is not the only option for the research. Even you can go to some foreign universities and do research there if you have a chance. So if you are so sure that if you want to become a researcher, there are a lot of ways, not just IISc in that sense. At any stages of your life, maybe you can start your research career at your PhD, or maybe you can start from your after class 12 itself. You are able to make it to a good college.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Summed up very, very well. So then one last question, kinds. What is it? What is in the last 4 years? What do you think has been your like? Okay, this is the best thing that I did. This is I'm something I'm super proud of, and this is something I could have done differently. It could be in your college. It could be anything you feel that this one thing maybe in the college wasn't that great. Maybe when I went abroad it wasn't that great, or maybe in my work I could have improved. Personally speaking, what is it? Wow, you regret something and something you're like very proud of. And something
The
you
one thing
maybe never thought you can do it and you did it and you're like, wow, I did that. I'm so proud of myself.
One thing that I can remember, at least in IIC, I was super strict about following the deadlines because, as I said, when I joined IIC, I was lacking a little knowledge compared to the peers that I have in IIC, so that I need to work super hard. So I can't be lazy at any point of time because I need to compete at all of the time. So the one thing that that is one of the advices that I got from one of the seniors, that follow your deadline no matter what, like whether it is an assignment, whether it is a
Oh,
project, or finishing your first year studies. Don't make a like don't postpone to some another day. Follow whatever excuses you have. So that one thing that I'm proud of, I never break any deadlines in my 4 years, which I
wow.
can remember. That I think
Wow.
helped a lot because it maintained a good score. which helped to get into good programs, and also my
And
profile
also your own
looked very strong.
self-discipline. You must have become so self-disciplined. Wow.
I mean, that was a compelling situation in IISc because IISc compelled me to stay like that. Otherwise, I'll be getting out of the race. Like everyone is competing to become a to build a good profile, and if
Correct.
I'm lazy, I mean, it will be very difficult for me to catch up back. That I'm not,
Correct.
at least consider
Correct.
me not that genius person comparing to the peers that I have in IISc.
Hmm.
So,
Oh,
but
lovely.
what I could have done differently now, I mean, at the end of the fourth year or fifth year, I feel I could have made little more time for extracurricular activities.
Oh,
I mean, I followed sports and I occasionally played football or badminton, but like looking back now, I could have spent little more time, and also I could have worked with some. Like, I saw people are working with some NGOs, like some there is something called Notebook Drive or Science for Rural India. Like they went to this rural school and teach about science. But at that time, I have excuses that I have a lot of things to study and lot of deadline to follow that I could not participate in many of them. But
correct.
now thinking back, I could have actually contributed and used my skill or knowledge to share to the unprivileged parts of our country that
Oh,
I
nice.
regret, and I will be following at least in my next universities.
Oh, lovely. We'll make use of it. We'll ask you to come and do live session with students. I'll get you some four,
Sure.
500 students who are interested in IISc. You take one live mentorship with them. That's so nice. It's so thoughtful, so thoughtful. And you've always been a very thoughtful child.
Thank
That's so nice. What will your parting thoughts be, Senin, to anybody who's preparing, let's say between the age group of 17 to 21, they're preparing for NEET, they're preparing for JEE, they're preparing for ISC. What would you tell a 17-year-old Senin? Tell me in 5 points. If you have to go back and tell yourself, don't work so hard, be easy on yourself, uh, sab ho jayega, it will all fall into place. What would those 4, 5 messages to your younger self be, Senin?
As I always say, be persistent. Like you should have a good plan and following that plan rather than doing something randomly for the sake of someone else. You want to be sure that what you want to do at the end of the day, not only JE or this field or in any other field, that you are the best judge to judge your potential at least. The other person may not know you well and you know your skills and potential, so choose very wisely like what you want to do in your life, and also don't look up the financial part of it, like if you will be earning a lot or maybe like is it worth to pursue in some direction that you really like. My personal experience is if you are good and passionate about a particular thing, you can always make a living out of it, no matter.
Oh,
So
nice.
follow your passion. That is the shortest thing that I can say. Like irrespective of how people are saying to you, you may be getting an advices like don't follow this field, you won't be getting any money and you will be struggling in your life. That may not be the case if you are really good at and you have passion. You can
Oh,
easily
nice.
sustain in that field. And regarding the research, we can't really predict if you are a good research, if you are good for research or not. But like if you feel like you don't want to become a doctor or engineer, but you want to just deeply study a one particular subject, just go for it. Maybe you're good at research, or at least you can be a good teacher. Like you don't necessarily want to be a researcher if you like a particular subject. So there are multiple options, and it's not a very narrow path or something. At least the research, think about that. And also you can always divert from that and use the skill that you acquired through the training to something else, so that still you will become successful. And finally, don't disheartened by what your friends are doing. Like you are unique and maybe your skills are different, you may need a little more time or maybe you need a little different training. So just don't try to follow, okay, my friend is doing this, I should be doing this, or my friend is earning a lot of money and I'm not, so I'm a failure in life. It's nothing like that. At the end of the day, you need to leave yourself and you need to sustain yourself, and there may not be anyone else to help you in certain situations. So at the end of the day, it is you that you decide what you want to pursue and be happy in future rather than just leading a stressful life by following someone else's wishes. So, yeah, maybe I don't
Wow,
know.
lovely. Thank you so much, Senin, especially the last point that you mentioned about comparisons, about friendships. I think I really, really liked it. And the second last point that you made about समझ में नहीं आ रहा डॉक्टर बने या इंजीनियर बने, but एक subject अच्छा लगता है ना, go after that subject. It's a very vast field. You categorically mentioned it that it's not a narrow field. It's a vast field. And if you become authority on that subject, you could end up becoming teaching that subject to somebody, or or becoming an authority on it. This is just so amazing. Thank you so much, Senin. As always, I always feel when I talk to you that you are wise beyond your years,
Thanks a
and
lot.
I'm sure your parents have done something. You're such a blessing to your family. This is so amazing. Make me proud wherever you go, because you can't imagine when I see your photographs on Instagram, when I see you on Facebook, and I see you having fun, and I see you doing well and making your parents proud, making me proud, and making our country proud. I feel uh, just so good. And yes, one thing I remember is how somewhere very innocent also you are. You said you could have contributed more. Very few people at this age say that. They could have said कि हम एनजीओ में जाते मजे करके आते गाँव में या had fun and things like that, but you said you could have contributed more, you could have taught science to so many more students. And I hope that nature, God, Allah gives you that opportunity, that you're really able to influence and impact millions of lives in by some great semiconductor nanotechnology work that you do, and make us all very proud. Thank you so much, Senin. It was a pleasure having you.
Thanks a lot, and you're welcome.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. We'll call Senin Bhaiya again, maybe for an episode number 2, where he could come and maybe take a live session for all of you on How's Life at IISc episode 2. So thanks, Senin. That's all for today, everyone. Thank you. Bye.